Good evening and welcome to the Smart RV Podcast. This is John Vanek, owner of Ridgeback RV Services in Douglas County, Nevada, and joined by my co-host as always, Joe Symmes of Fixin to RV in beautiful
Yeah.
beautiful Gulfport, Mississippi. I got to tell you, like, Joe, every time I think about that, I flash back to like fourth grade and learning how to spell Mississippi. That was a big spelling bee challenge back in the day.
Fourth grade spelling bee word. There, obviously, there's all kind of the recognized abbreviations, like MS, and there's the old school MISS. Ironically, locals call it the SIP. So you got everything.
The SIP?
Yeah.
Okay, that's news to me. All right, see, we learn every day. The SIP. Where do you live? Gulfport. The SIP.
It's really more of a northern Mississippi thing. This is one of those states, the further north you go, the further south you get. So, John, today's episode, for our regular fans, it's going to be a little different, a little punchy. We're in quite the mood today, and so we may break from some of our normal patterns, but we've got some good discussions and some lively questions. To kick things off, I'd like to ask John's opinion of some new sport bike names that I've seen on the market. These new crotch rockets. I saw a Sidewinder, a Slunky, a Flowdown. Are those sport bikes, John?
Joe, sorry. I hate to break it to you. I hate to break it to you.
Sounds like it.
Okay. Sounds like the Sidewinder. Yeah. Yeah, no, Joe, we do start off with our Beside the Pedestal segment, and this segues right into that, because
so we're literally going to be beside the pedestal today.
We're literally beside the pedestal on this one, because the Slunky, the Sidewinder, the Flowdown, those are all brand names for those collapsible supports for the black hose. Or the gray water hose,
I don't think hose. Before today I knew what they were actually called. So I'm learning right here with our audience.
But you own one, don't you?
I own several, as a matter of fact.
Well, see, you can name them different names so you know which one to pull out. Hey, Rachel, pull out the side. We only need the Sidewinder today.
Not the Slunky, dear. No. Which is another great segue to John. When would you use one of these? And maybe not. I've seen campers go without them.
Yeah, I tend to not use mine unless I'm in an environment where the actual septic drain pipe is higher than the ground, leading to it, right? So, I want my sewage hose to be flowing downhill. I'll give you a great example of where I use it. Just not too long ago, we were in an RV park, and the septic, the power pedestal, the water spigots were all on a raised island, right? So it's about 4 inches high. So now the hose comes out of my rig, it goes down to the ground, it's running along the ground, and now it has to come up that 4 inches to then drop into the septic system. So that was a great place. I pulled it out to elevate the hose. So I've got that downhill run to the actual septic drain.
Well, John, that sounds great, but I've seen people make a homemade P-trap out of theirs. What are your thoughts on that?
No. I think there's a lot of misuse of your sewage hose. We want to have our valves closed all the time. Don't, if you're going to be staying somewhere, even for a weekend, people are like, I'll just leave the valve open and let things run down. The systems in RVs don't operate properly unless there's a lot of water in the tanks, being the black tank and our gray tanks. We want water to be retained so we get a good gravity flush out of those tanks. So you shouldn't have a need for a P-trap built in with your hose, because your valve should not be open. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you've already got the gate valve closed. That should be stopping any sewer smells. from
Yep.
coming back into the RV. But every time I set mine up, I do think, I am not a certified plumber, but know a little bit about plumbing. And in various municipalities, there are rise and run slope requirements to have the right grade on the flushing for a home system. Luckily, there isn't no such requirement in the RV industry, and it's just like John says, because we're going to be pulling that valve and sending plenty of water and solids together at the same time. An ideal situation, yeah, you're not going to have to worry about that, unless you own an Airstream and you're starting out lower than everybody else to begin with, and then yeah, you don't have a lot of fall to the slope.
Yeah, well, that's a good point too. That's a very good point. I didn't think of, because obviously the height of valves varies greatly from one rig to another potentially.
Yes, I am envious of and having lived on the West Coast, I know the desert camping scene, the guys that do the spring axles, sorry, leaf spring swap over the axles so that their toy hauler is carried that much higher to match the height of their truck, and probably bigger tires anyway, and they're going out in the desert and everything's great. I think, boy, that thing's got to be tough to level, tough to climb into. The awning is way too high to be in effect, but at least you got some good drain on that thing.
Well, drainage is good when you want it.
Yes, yes.
So there's our tip for the week, and actually, I just had a thought to expound upon that. It's always worth reviewing, particularly because we have a lot of new RVers that are finding our podcast here, and maybe you can go over, Joe, briefly, sort of the proper order of tank drainage.
Well, yeah, excellent point. Always worth kind of foot stomp reiteration here. Again, on even a short camping trip, we're keeping both valves closed, both the black and the gray, and build up a little in the tanks. And when it comes time to keep your eye on the tank monitors, when it comes time to flush, always go out and pull the black valve first. John, that one's key, the black valve first, because you're going to have the worst, the dirtiest, hopefully the most solids come out of that tank, and then you're going to kind of rinse the system by pulling the gray valve second.
And when you say, put in a little bit of water in the tanks, what do you mean by
Yeah.
a little bit? How much is enough to start out?
It's kind of like your mom did with the cooking, just a dab, No, I'm kidding. Unless you're in some sort of a water conservation situation or dry camping, I'd say the more water, the better. So after a good tank dumping, especially if you're going to be there a few more days or something, go ahead and close both those valves, go back inside, and feel free to put your foot down on the pedal of the toilet and let a couple, count to 100, sing happy birthday,
There
let a
you go.
couple gallons go in. You don't want to start with a dry tank for that first flush. You want to keep your solids in suspension. Should be the name of a rock group, I think.
Ooh, solids in suspension. Someone's gonna grab that and run with it somewhere.
Sounds kind of 70s, doesn't it?
Oh, so there we go. There's your tip for the week. Use the slunky sidewinder.
The Flowmaster,
The
I think.
the
Yeah.
flow down, the flow down,
Flow
the flow
down.
down. Yeah, yep.
I guess that's not a good name for a sports bike.
Slow down? Yeah, bad name for sport bike.
Well, like I said, dear viewer, this episode, your intrepid hosts are a little punchy, so it's going to be kind of fun, because I want to segue then into more of a Q&A than a soliloquy like we sometimes get into here. So, John, I've got a question for you, which are on all of our viewers' minds.
Okay, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it.
Okay, I've been listening to podcasts a little bit. I've got my RV. Been out on a few trips. I'm real happy with things. And then whammo, something happens. I have a system failure. Maybe the awning won't go out, the slide won't come in. I think I see a little bit of a leak on the ceiling. Maybe the refrigerator stopped, or the hot water heater doesn't come on. Any of these things might happen to you. So
big or small. These could be big issues or small issues. Okay.
And as a loyal viewer, I've got a little toolbox with me. I've got some needle nose, like you guys have talked about, some multi screwdriver set. I've got maybe some wrenches, even a voltmeter. So I'm ready to attack. But now I'm kind of lost in what do I do? So I go to the University of YouTube.
We
start
all.
watch Start watching a few videos, and I've uh, watched a couple guys that say you can do this, it's easy, and a couple others that sound completely foreign to me. But armed with a little bit of bravado and a few hand tools, I think to myself, can I really do this? Can I not? When do I call a tech? Before even making the next step. What's your advice there, John? When should someone even consider jumping into this? And I'll give you kind of one more frame here with our discussion.
Boy,
Let's
you're laying it on here. You're making it thick. I might
tell
need
me
the
what.
slunky.
Tell me how much knowledge the person should have before they attempt their own.
Oh, none. It's really, actually not much. It's really about desire. The first thing I look for is desire. Okay. And we get these calls, routinely. You can tell that, usually the way it happens, someone says, hey, here's my problem. I had one just last week, but my hot water heater's not working. And I've been online, and this is a couple things I've read. Is this true? And you just over the phone, you can get the sense that somebody has a desire to take this on themselves. And so, usually what I'll just say is, hey, you sound like you really want to take this on, and you have the desires. Is that the case? I confirm that with them, and hopefully they're like, yeah, I don't want to spend money if I don't have to. I want to learn more about it. Where do I go from here? And so then the next question is based on the condition they're talking about. Then I'll ask them if they have the proper tools. And, it might be wrenches, might be a socket set, might be a voltmeter, depending on what they're working on. If it's plumbing, do they have a PEX tool? Do they have a cutter, et cetera, et cetera? Or
Well,
do they have the desire
that's
to
a
go out and
great
get the
point.
tools?
Yeah, that's a great point. For viewers out there, you may say, okay, I think I know how to fix this. I think I know I have the desire. I think I'd like to save a buck or two. But a call to a professional tech, they might be able to tell you, do you have a particular specialty tool? Because you're going to need that once you get everything apart, kind of can look ahead at their crystal ball and tell you, don't even attempt this without a Flubberwiser or whatever.
Right, right. And hand in hand with that, Joe, I think I always ask them how much time they have,
Yeah.
right? Because it's if they're, the guy with the water heater that wasn't working, are you living in it right now? And he's like, no, no,
Yeah.
no, but I've got like 10 days before we go on a trip. So I've got 10 days to get this fixed. I'm like, okay, that there's plenty of time there. And worst case is if you get on it in the next couple of days and you can't fix it out, then you've got plenty of time to call a tech and have someone come out and help you. But then I think
Well,
go
quick
ahead.
question there. So what about, what are your opinions? And maybe some techs will write us in on this. I don't mind if folks in this situation call me and say, hey, can you give me some advice? And I have published on my website, and a few other techs do, just kind of an advice rate. I mean, I'll talk to you for a couple minutes, anybody, no problem. But some folks may say, I'll attempt this, but maybe I want you on in my earpiece on the phone here, and it may be 20 or 30 minutes to dig a little deeper, and maybe you need to be compensated for some time, but I'm not going to ask you to actually come out at this stage. I think I can do it, but I'd like a little love here. A lot of techs will consider that, and maybe even have a published rate you can agree to, and you're off and running.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of them it's just technical service at a rate that is lower than what our labor rate is if we come out there. Obviously, there's no service call. And I'm pretty relaxed about that. It's kind of like, hey, how much time do I have at the moment? If someone gets lucky like this guy did with the water heater, I was driving, I had about a half-hour drive. I'm happy to be on the phone with this guy to help him out. He was very enthusiastic. And
Yeah, I've had those.
and for the techs that are out there, I would recommend, because I'm a big believer in my Google business page. My Google business page is so important to me. I collect as many reviews as possible. And on more than one occasion, at the end of offering, some technical advice, and you can tell clients are so happy. They're like, wow, thank you so much for helping me out, explaining this, whatever it is. I'm like, you know what? If it was valuable to you, I'd really appreciate it if you went to my business page and left me a Google review. And most of them do, because they understand they're getting really good professional knowledge direct from someone who's really talking about their specific problem at this specific time. Because the challenge we run into is the University of YouTube is fantastic, but there's limitations to that. And there's certainly limitations to like Facebook groups that are built around RV interest. There can be challenges there.
Yeah, absolutely. And the worst case, I'd say if you are getting some technical advice on the phone and you get in too deep and you wish to kind of put the project on pause, then if you go with the tech you've been talking to, they've kind of already got the background and maybe can get to you and help, or they can at least say, okay, I've had this a couple times, person's out of area. I say, when you call the local tech, please repeat the following, so the tech will know what we've already done, what we've been troubleshooting, where you're hung up, and they can get right to your fix.
Exactly. And again, I think the big pressure, if you've got the desire and you've got the tools, or you'll go out and get the tools, and you want to get the knowledge either from one of us over the phone or from looking at online resources, then kind of in the back of your mind should be, can I do any damage? And because if it's just you can't diagnose the problem to fix the problem, then eventually somebody can. Okay. Eventually I can come out and I'll be able to fix the problem. But if it's an issue where you could potentially do damage if you go a step too far, then it's also understanding that risk. And it doesn't mean you shouldn't. It just means you need to be aware of it and decide, okay, at this point, do I call my tech friend back? Do I call Joe? Hey, Joe, you help me, what do I do now? Or are you willing to just, proceed? But going
Yeah,
back,
both.
I'd like to go back. Go ahead. I'm
Well,
sorry.
hold on just a second. Both John and I in previous professions, both the military and police force, did lots of risk assessments. And yeah, I think that's we don't want to gloss over this too quickly. That's a very important point. And back to the calling professional support, that might also be a great question, is call your local tech and say, I've got the desire, I've got the tools, I'm pretty sure I've got the knowledge. Actually, don't even need help there, but just can you give me a real quick frame of reference? What is the potential downside? What could I screw up if I do this wrong?
Yeah, it's a great question to ask. Because the nice things about our working on RVs is it can be pretty difficult to do major damage if you take things step by step and you understand what's going, what's coming further, with handling the issue. So
Yeah, a good example, it might be a plumbing kind of situation. The actual repair might not be too difficult, but hey, I've got my shower pan out and I'm repairing a small leak underneath, and that may not be that big a deal. But what's your potential downside? You put everything back together and still have a leak.
yeah, yep,
There can be risk just in time and effort. While you've gotten this deep into it, go ahead and replace all the fittings under there, things like that.
yes. And here's where, going back to how do we gain the knowledge to do this? There's lots of online resources, and I caution RV owners to understand who they're asking for advice. And it's great. You can go on. I mean, there's a Facebook group for every manufacturer, even models of RVs within a single manufacturer, where owners are there to offer advice and insight and experience. And it can be very, very valuable, but it can also be limited by the technical expertise there. So for instance, my favorite example is somebody will post something like, my furnace isn't working. And probably 80 or 90% of the respondents are going to say, it's the sail switch,
Go fix the sail switch.
the sail switch. And the fact is that understanding what the sail switch does and doesn't do, and when it is doing its thing properly, that's pretty actually easy to sort out. We'll do an episode on the sail switch sometime in the future. My point is that, a lot of the advice is they're defaulting to it's the sail switch. And if you give us the symptoms, if we talked with you for a minute or two about what's happening with your furnace, we might not know what the problem is, but we can probably certainly tell you it's not the sail switch under these set of circumstances, because the sail switch is doing its thing. So then really the more expertise is going to be found in a lot of good YouTube videos, because there's some excellent RV techs with great YouTube channels, many videos on the problem you want. The challenge there is that sometimes you have to watch 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 videos on the issue. Let's say it's the furnace, to figure out to see if they touch on your specific issue, and sometimes with your specific furnace, because sometimes there's differences there.
Yeah, excellent point. And don't forget about manufacturers or the OEM itself. You can have some success. They're better and worse call-in lines, but I know I've called to the Lippert help desk. I've called to the Dometic help desk before. They've been wonderful resources. I think I've even called Carefree of Colorado for an awning question. And a lot of times you can get an excellent technician on the other end that knows exactly what's going on. And some of them nowadays even have the technology to use your phone's camera and kind of come in there live with you and show me what you're reading, and don't forget you need to clip the red wire, and can really help you out virtually. So that's another good resource.
That's right, and not to let the cat out of the bag, too soon. But that's kind of where Smart RV is going, is to help people in exactly these types of situations figure out how to move forward with resolving their issues with professional quality information that is easy to access and that is specific to your given issue. And, but once you have the knowledge and the tools and the desire to move forward, a lot of the work on RVs can be done by owners. I think what both of you and I have both experienced, at least in our sectors of the country where we work, is that a lot of the people, they're living in their RV full-time, perhaps, so they're working, so they don't have the time to take on their issues,
Right.
or they've made so many trips around the sun that they don't have the energy or the desire to do the work, and that's where they want someone else to come in and help them out. But the fact is there's more knowledge out there to be gained by anybody, and it's really a question of desire, and then acquiring some tools to do the work you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And to kind of round out your last point there, yeah, please, neither John nor I are doctors, but you can evaluate your own physical fitness, physical abilities, and make an assessment. I've had calls from customers who say, hey, I know exactly what needs to be done, and I've known how to do this fix for years, but I'm just too old to get on the roof, crawl underneath, get inside of, whatever physical thing is going to be required to complete the job, or the weather. I mean, we're coming now on the backside of summer, but there was several of my customers in the middle of August and the air conditioner doesn't work. They say, hey, I may even have the physical ability to get on the roof, but it's 2:00 in the afternoon and I can't work smartly in those conditions, and I need some professional help.
Yeah. Yep. And this is where, kind of going back to your point about accessing some of the OEMs and the manufacturers of parts in Dometic, Lippert, etc. I think a tip for our technicians that are listening to us, particularly the newer technicians, sometimes technicians don't feel a need to open up accounts, professional dealer accounts with these different entities, because they don't plan on buying parts and stuff from these entities. But having an account with these entities, that's really the gate to their technical support. as a consumer owner, you're going to be in line behind the professional techs that are calling, let's say Dometic as an example, calling Dometic. Techs are calling Dometic to get very specific technical questions answered, and they're super helpful. They're going to be in front of the consumer, the actual RV owner. Techs like you and I, we are behind the OEM technicians that are working at the OEM level or, at the major dealership level. So for mobile techs and all techs, I think, I get more value from my commercial accounts by having that gate open to the technical support that I wouldn't have if I didn't have those accounts.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very well said. So, appreciate the banter, the back and forth discussion. Hopefully, we've given the shade tree RV mechanic, the DIYer, the closet RV tech. We've given you all out there, however you want to describe yourself, some good ideas, good tips, and I guess kind of last plug. Thank you for mentioning it earlier, John. Stay tuned. Smart RV is going to have some specialty products coming out to help you with just this kind of thing with some remote support applications.
And as a reminder to everybody, if you have questions about anything that we discuss on our program or anything you'd like us to discuss, simply send us an email to contact us at smart-rv.com. And it'll also be in the show notes. So subscribe, like, do all those important things for us. We hope you're finding value here, and we look forward to seeing you in the future. Any final words, Joe?
Oh, I hope we didn't lose too many visitors this episode, John. A little punchy, a little on edge, and our humor may not be for everyone. Doggone it, we still love our viewers.
Yes, we do. So go check out your Sidewinder. All right. All right, buddy. We'll see you soon. Y'all take care.
care.
Safe travels.
So long.